Welcome to our PLC meeting today. We're going to really collaborate today on, have some reflective dialogue about teaching and learning. So we're going to start with the data. Our resources they were delivered to district office, and they've just been sitting over there, so I don't know where they are. They're MIA right now. But as soon as I find them, I will go and pick them up so that we can get started. So I want today to be about some exchanging of ideas, though. I really want you all to collaborate about exchanging ideas as we go into the STAR countdown. So let's first look at the data. I have, that's the English data and that's the Spanish data. This is the report, the principal report, the one that is being submitted for Mrs. Bale. So looking at that first data reflection sheet, what are we noticing? What sticks out to you?
I'm looking at 42% on that figure 19D.
On just the first page, you're jumping here.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
I actually think I might be missing a page.
No, the very first page, the top page. What do we know about, let's look at our sub-pops for just overall.
African American are doing the worst.
Okay, what could be some implications there? And I'll scribe. What are some implications of that?
Do you need some paper?
No, I'm going to scribe it on the board so I'm writing on the board.
If we focus on African American and economically disadvantaged, I think that would be our biggest bang for our buck.
Okay, so let's exchange some ideas about what are some research-based practices that work for that sub-pop. Because one size fits all does not work or does work?
Does not.
Does not. So what are some ways? And you know what? Some great ESL strategies works for all kiddos. So Ms. Metamors, what's kind of a few of your favorite? And I know QPCS, I know some of your favorite, but what's from a few of your favorite, like to get those kiddos that struggle at first, but then all of a sudden get it?
Are we recording on the iPad?
Yeah, that's okay.
I'm like, right? Sorry, whoever you are.
That's okay.
I'm participating in it. That's what matters. What I've noticed, I'm not kidding, the same thing that you've taught me, which was also confirmed with the Audrey Bragg session, the 1 of 3 reasons why kids are not completing that triangle.
Yes.
Honestly, that's really how that's how I look at children. Mm-hmm. It's one of these 3 reasons, or it's typically the top 2 that's affecting this one right here.
Right.
So if we can get on the reading strategies, like learning the actual reading methods of rules, A can say E or whatever the rule is versus that's gonna all help with the foundation of helping with that comprehension. Yeah. Or sometimes they got these, they just need the thinking strategies. Right. For me, typically it's always one of the 2 that I've seen this year, and so. It's being a doctor, knowing what to prescribe.
And that is one of my favorite books that I've shared with y'all before, and that needs to become one of your Bible if you're going to stay in literacy. Is Colleen Beers when kids can't read what teachers can do.
Okay.
And what's the name of the author again?
Colleen Beers. When kids can't read what teachers can do. And on top of that, when they're taking a test, it's content too. So they can know how to read, they can have some understanding, but if they don't have content knowledge, if they don't know what theme is, if they don't know how to infer, so it's compounded. So I think we either need to add that, like through, like say we did comprehension and then it was fluency.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And accuracy.
And accuracy. So if you have all that, but to be able to pass the test, you've got to have content knowledge.
Right.
So it's just not enough to have understanding, like a basic understanding, to be able to retell. You have to know. No. You got to know how. You got to have that content knowledge. So let's share some.
I'm ready.
Let's share some ideas about, so as we're going through the book, and y'all have your,
I teach mine to chunk.
you teach it to chunk, okay? All right, is that chunk?
Because mine tend to, since in Spanish, it's easier to read the
Mhm.
words, because each letter has its own sound. They tend to read it fast, and yeah, I'm done. So I need to slow down and chunk and think about what
You
they
give gist statements?
just read.
And I actually have several kids who have come in with language deficits already, so that would be really good for me.
And then that way when they chunk, they also reread. Hey, did I understand what I just read?
Right.
I didn't, okay, let me slow down and read it again.
So you're using that chunk and clump strategy that we made the poster at the beginning of the school year? Like they're purposely chunking, where they're set, like, kind of like my stop and think lines, where they're gonna stop after they read this certain part, ask myself,
Yes.
did I get it, or do I need to read? So is it a click or clump? So it's like click or clump strategy? Okay. That's a good strategy for all readers, right?
Mm-hmm, it is.
Is it
We do
quick or
something
clump?
similar to that.
Because these passages in here are pretty long, so they gotta have stamina, and they gotta know, they gotta be able to stick with it in order to read it. So we noticed the African American and the ECD. Anything else that stuck out? Oh, I'm looking at it. I would agree. We don't have very many sped, because that's just like 1 or 2 kids.
Which is
Yeah.
sad, but
It is sad right now. I say right now. Okay, turn the page over. Let's look at the SEs now. So these are the ones that I pulled from that were the lowest 5,
okay.
and I put which kind of text it was, what the goal was, so if it was informational, and then the standard. That way we don't have to keep going back and forth to the test. And then these were just my thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
So if we can go over it together, I'd like to add some of your thoughts, and then take it a step further. What can we do? What can we implement to improve student achievement in that area? Because one thing I noticed, I want you to note straight away, I labeled, they're all essential standards. All the lowest performing ones are essential on the English one. And then I want to compare it to yours, Ms. Matamoros, because you only had 1 essential standard. So her students mastered all of the essential standards.
Oh!
And they were just struggling at, 1 or 2 here or there. You know what I mean? It wasn't as thick. I want to say it wasn't as dense. So, but we do have some comparative things to talk about to what we can do. So look at 3.13, which is the expository standard. So for the English test takers, it was 13A. Identify the details or facts that support the main idea. And Ms. Matamoros, yours was about that same thing, but it was making the inferences.
Where is that?
That was question 7.
Oh, it's about the picture?
No. Well, yes, it is, about the picture.
Yeah, that picture was really dark.
About the picture.
Yes, thank
So
you
it
for
was
that.
a print quality.
Because
Yeah.
there was another text that we used, and it wasn't a district one, but the question that was being asked, the picture was not clear, so it's like,
You could
well,
barely see, because
barely see
the
it.
answer was about the people that were there.
Okay.
But you could barely see the body.
Oh, okay,
that were
okay.
there. So they said admiring the beauty of the
Oh,
of
because
the waterfall.
the English testers did well on that one, and you're.
Because that's an easy, I mean,
That
it's
was
about
it.
the picture.
I know.
Yeah.
So let's look at, if you can help us brainstorm this one for 313A. Look at my thoughts here. So I suggested, or my thoughts were, maybe we need to increase the amount of reading for informational text, maybe to build stamina.
Yes, definitely.
We need closer and increased progress monitoring of how well students can determine the main ideas and the details that support it, like beyond ABCD. Increase student evidence of learning for that. Ensure our learning objectives and student output align. So that's what we said we're teaching, and that's what we should collect. and it just increase purposeful practice for this essential standard. What else have you done that has worked well, that has made kids get it more by leaps and bounds, just like, oh, have that moment? I know that they were successful with GIST. What else?
Well, aside from that, just understanding important versus interesting details. So what I did, aside from the comprehension toolkit lesson that I modeled in there, I did another lesson, and I had the kids talk about the relationship between the title, the subtitle, and the information in each section of the subtitle. It's more so they're not making connections and how it's all related, and determining what's important in that section and why it's important to the subtitle, why it's important to the overall text.
Right.
So what I did was, we do our regular reading, and then we go in sentence by sentence, and we said, did the author already speak about that? Is that interesting? And I had the kid, and if it was something that was important, I made him put a smiley face on it. If it was interesting, I had him cross it out. And then, because they killed me with these highlighters, I had them go back and highlight only the part that had a smiley face on it, and so they got to see, oh, it's only 3 sentences we really needed in this paragraph to get what was important. So that's been, I could tell, since this test that we've done, that is, okay, I do it in a different way.
So they're not just reading words and just going sentence by sentence, but
no,
they're looking now for connectors
and what's in and what's how it relates to and what is that still important to the overall in this section. So that's been successful because it gave them a different way to, I don't know.
Well, and as we know, the 3rd grade test, all this is new, because in 2nd grade they recalled, and those detailed questions are pretty tough because they imply that the kids know the main idea. Every once in a while they'll say what's paragraph 7 is about, but usually it's about the detail, and this detail supports what idea. So the what idea is the main idea. Or it'll say something like, which details should be included in the summary, so that's important. Like, they deal so many different ways with just the detail and the importance of the detail.
You modeled for us last year how to help get that main idea and understand the importance is to do the 5 W's and the H.
Yeah.
And I got my kids doing that, and now it's like just natural because they're looking at the who, what, when, where, why, and the how. If it applies, and the kids are like, they'll tell me, oh, that's not important because we really don't, or and so that helped too a lot.
Okay. I mean, that's on the informational text. That's a whole bunch of the questions because I think it showed up more than once. So those thoughts are okay because that's what I submitted. Oh, sorry. What about 5? Look at 5.
I've also moved my kids around, by the way, based on, at this point in the game, based on data, and we know who our, what, thank you so much, what demographics we need to focus on, or what kids, really need that preferential seating, of course, in line with IEPs and plans. But at this point, nobody that's a tier 2 or tier 1 should get that front row seat. You know what I mean? It's the kids who we know have that potential to cross over to the other side and really glean information when we're trying to intervene through the reteaching part. That's who should be right there, eyes, vision. Right.
So the opportunity to respond for every kid needs to be 100% of the time is what I'm hearing. Okay. What about 3.13b, drawing conclusions from the facts presented in the text? That one's a highly tested one also, so I kind of just kept it the same. Then increase, so the difference between the inference, how are y'all teaching the difference between just one textual inference and drawing conclusions? How's the difference? Can you share something that's worked? Because inference is from one piece of information, whereas a conclusion is over. It could be about the whole or a whole section, but it could either be about the information.
You have to draw a conclusion in order to infer, right?
Huh? Well, it's a higher level inference. So you have prediction, inference, and draw a conclusion. So an inference is about one piece of information, or like in fiction, one event or character. But drawing conclusion would be about a whole section or the whole text. And it could either be about the information or how the author feels about the information, right?
Okay.
And so drawing conclusion comes from many clues, whereas an inference just can come from one or two clues. Oh, and that's the big difference. So what, I mean,
Like what we
I
just
know, I
said,
think when
like,
you're-
how could you tell how the author feels without even having to read it?
Yeah.
Anybody got a sport? That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
How unprepared are we? Okay? We're supposed to be feeding souls around here. Where's your sport, Miss Martha Models? So you're not prepared.
I don't have a sport in this bag.
You always bring a snack. You always have sports and foods and
I
knives
don't.
and meals and chicken and rice.
Thank you. Okay. So, does that make sense? And that is kind of difficult to, well, I would say it's not that difficult. You've got to be selective in what you choose. Like, it has to be a rich text that, a conclusion that can be drawn. Because it has to be, you know what I mean? And so, like on your model, you have to find that.
And I think it ties to determining importance too, because those important details, you can draw conclusions from those.
Yes.
And also then being able to determine how those details relate so that they can draw a conclusion on them.
Okay, so thinking about just these two before we go any further, outside of just having them, you know, read and annotate and do the things, what are some ways that we can give them the purposeful practice at showing us they can do it instead of just guessing at ABCD? Like we to obtain some student products. Well, you always want student products out.
Double entry journals or triple entry journals. Oh gosh, they have it. Where they have to give the actual what the text says, what you think, and what made you think that.
Okay. So is that for inferences or drawing conclusions or all of it?
You can use it for both.
Okay.
You can use it for both.
Okay.
And
So text, what you think and why you thought that.
what about the text that made you think that? Because that's that third column. That's where the correctness will happen.
So they're kind of explaining why they put the evidence.
Yeah.
Why that evidence.
Okay. Let's see.
Or you know that text says I infer. That's my main go-to. I honestly we just skip that part now. They just start doing it right by the text that we
Oh,
come
what
to
on your
it. Yeah,
annotation?
and we just put then they just write I infer instead of writing the whole T-chart thing. It's just second nature now.
Okay.
So that works too.
Okay. Now these surprised me. Look at question 6. It surprised me because I have been preaching this, right? But the author's purpose, 39%. And I know y'all was talking about, well, that's because they thought it was something. But the author's purpose, the thoughts are just ensure that they know verbs for author's purpose beyond pi, and that they can explain the author's purpose in a statement, like kind of like here the author wrote the selection to blank me about blank. Like go ahead
And honestly,
yeah.
even though I get that was by code the author's purpose question, but see that also showed that they didn't get the main idea of the text, because the main idea of the text was not about the
Was this
inventor.
question over the whole text?
It was it was a whole text question.
Mine was about one paragraph.
See that. And
it was.
was it a paragraph or?
Was
No,
it
It was the question with the answer choice, but that it was about that most kids chose that it was about the inventor that came up with a new way to play versus the invention was a new way to play to get the water out of the ground.
Yeah.
But they chose. I know which one that they all chose. They chose that they said because it said to inform you about an inventor who came up with something new, but it was not the text was not about the inventor but the invention. So that's what. But see, they didn't. They just picked that one.
That plays a role back going to identify the details of sports main idea. So
Exactly.
Like I remember we said certain things every day that they were going to be able to do.
Yeah.
When they read every day, they were going to summarize. They were going to explain the author's purpose in a statement, and I would practice them doing paragraphs and sections and the whole. You know, however you saw fit, especially if it was an informational text that was chunked out that had different purposes, like recycling. You know how to reuse
Juice,
reduce, recycle, like all three of those. It's all about the same idea, but the purpose
It's different.
is different
Yeah.
in each one. So something like that would be good. What you need? What you need for?
I'm just disappointed we don't have a sport.
You have any what?
We don't have a sport.
She wants
Use
to
your
eat.
fingers.
Oh.
I expressed my disappointment earlier. that
Something
I'm
with
just
your
really-
bread, honey. Something with your bread. It's okay. It's totally okay. Okay, let's go to 13. Now that was all over informational. 13 was about literary text, sequencing, summarizing, and apply. So, not sure what 13 said, but my thoughts were ensure students can go beyond retail in order to summarize, because that's what they're able, that's what they come ready.
That I know a question. I think that was the question that said, why did
I
such
have
and
a
such
copy
not,
of the test right here.
Okay.
why did such and such
Paragraphs 18 through 25 are important because they help the reader understand.
and the answer was why the twins didn't make fun of Chelsea Chowderhead because
Right.
their last name was Noodle Nog.
Right.
So it was more, but they had to go back and to 18 through 25 and read that was the really big event because it was like literally like the last sentence I think.
Yeah.
If they said, oh well, that was the day that Chelsea Chowderhead became best friends with Nicholas and Nathaniel Noodle Noggin. So as the reader, you're like, oh, you got a weird last name too.
So again, going back to determining the importance of details, the
Mhm.
importance of
Why is that
events,
important?
because that's all the plot is. The events that happen in the
Yes,
story. It's like you gotta pay attention to the events. So, anything research based that you all want to share? Why do you have money in the bag?
Because I was going to use it if I didn't put it in there. My ADHD.
What more can we do? What more supports can we be to each other? And do y'all need from me or Ms. Bell or any other team? What more can we do? We're trying to increase student achievement. We have how many weeks? 5?
6,
We have 6 more weeks to
7.
start?
1 more week of March, 4 weeks in April, 1 week in
7.
May.
Okay,
7 weeks.
we have 7 weeks, just for a final push. For many of them, they're like right there on the cusp.
And that's a good thing.
That's a great thing.
Because they wasn't there before.
Yeah. That's a great thing. So, to solidify our plan, I'm gonna send out a calendar. I'm gonna send out a calendar, and I'm gonna put some of it on there, but I want y'all to like determine together what we're doing, and I'll get the Scantrons. You and I'll get together on the other one, and the Spanish measuring up. And you also can use the coach, or have you already used it? You've used the coach already? You've never used the coach? I have a Spanish coach, it's like that one right there. And I think it's, the one I have is like with the multiple readings.
Are we using Scantrons for the motivation?
If you want, I can make them for you.
Because it'll be,
Because it's gonna be
do you
good
have
there.
them already from last
I do, I do.
Okay, we can use those, because
Okay.
I'm using measuring up. Are they using measuring up? I mean, not measuring up, motivation.
They've already almost done all of
I
it.
haven't done measuring up or coach. Them the ones I ain't used.
Yeah,
Okay, motivation, then,
so, yeah.
we should
But,
start using
but
motivation.
now, because we don't have to all do the same thing, because you're gonna address the needs, so that's why the data is
Right.
so important. So she's gonna really address the needs, and then just make, like, say, let's look at your strengths.
I'm noticing we're good at all level 1 and 2 questions. All the lowest ones were all the level 3 questions. So if we just
Yes.
go focus on level 3 depth, then
Yeah.
we're straight.
See, you see on your 68s and your 61s, or your 71s, like, so you still, even though they were high, you can keep spiraling those too, you know what I mean? Because it's like, most of them are understanding, but you still some kiddos that you can pull up. That question, like in the one in question 1, and that here 77% was on 12, 13, and 14. They were all over literary. So I put the standard there so that when you're looking for stuff, is that helpful? Okay. And then for English,
Yeah, they're pretty good in fiction.
huh?
They're pretty
They're pretty
They've had
good.
it
good in
longest.
fiction.
That's
Yeah.
kindergarten, they should be.
Yeah.
Well, but they're just reminding them, because third grade though is all new.
It's all new.
So they are used to just being able to giving very perfunctory answers. Just one word answers, just a little quick retell. But now we're talking about making connections among ideas.
Mm-hmm.
Child ahead and whatever.
Noodle lager.
Noodle line.
Yeah,
Like that's a connection that they needed to make. Oh, they're both funny names.
Weird, yeah.
You know, and so so we're moving from just reading the words on the page to thinking about the words on the page and the connections that they make. So, what do you need now?
I have a celebration.
Okay, I love celebration.
One of my tier 2 kids, still tier 2 for different reasons, but he's scoring like he's tier 1
Okay.
on this. And so,
What do you attribute that to?
his teacher. Let's be clear. But I had a celebration because you could see it on his face when he got his test back. And he was just so, it was like I sent a picture to his mom. His mom was like, oh my God, like, thank you, Miss Lee. And I was just like, no, thank you, because it also took dedication, you know. When I asked them to do something, they did it, you know what I mean, at home. So, I just thought about him. Marcus Jones Jr., I'm proud of you. You haven't seen this video. I am, so, I love baby, because we struggled at the beginning.
Look at this page.
Mm-hmm.
Look at that back page. So you gotta sit, y'all, on these are the strengths. So 66 and 67, we still have lots of room to grow right there. With I'll tell you which ones they should get. That like 12, the problem in a story, that should be 100% every time. That's something we can tighten up real quick. And maybe, well, the interaction between characters, that goes back to connections and the importance, right? And that 315B, that's a QAR question. That's a right there question. The locate and use specific information and graphic features of the text. So it's like certain things, you know, let's hit it and say, let me tighten up that real quick. Is there any strategies that anybody can share about how you do write their questions? I put some of the verbs that it takes: scanning, identifying, observing. You know, that's what makes it a level 1 question. But what do y'all do about like when it's a right there question? Or do they know the difference between a right there and what do they do when it's a right there?
They have to write the receipt, and they have to write the line exactly. It's
Where it
explicit.
says
Yeah, what explicitly it said.
Okay.
That supports their answer.
Okay.
what I'm also having the kids do, not only are they having to tell me the line on next to their answer, but I'm having them underline where exactly it is, so that way I can go back and make sure that they're making the connection, and I'm having them label what question that goes with. So is it question 5? Is it question 7? So that way I can tell where their thinking is going.
Oh, you're talking about for the text evidence?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And also on the question, the keywords that the question uses.
Mm-hmm.
So what is the question? They really need to know what the question is asking to be able to locate the answer.
That was like earlier when they said, what is paragraph 4 mostly about?
Yeah.
I said, boys and girls, what is it? They were like, that's the main idea. Because the main idea is what the text is mostly about. Okay, very good. Hope you know main idea. So they know what the questions are asking them. We did that today too.
So the trends that I put for the English one, and let me turn to this name, Mark, was the lowest data trends exist in informational text. So what's the implication there? What can we do?
That's where our focus needs to be.
Okay.
Like, so this week, we're on,
Expository.
yes, nothing but expository.
Nothing but expository text.
Actually, for the next 2 weeks.
What are you all doing?
Determining main idea, sequencing and summarizing. I am starting to include some STAR strategies, so I've been doing gap and high 5.
Okay.
Let me see, paraphrasing, they have to write inference statements. It's a whole lot like in a day that they do. It's never just one thing.
Office purpose,
Oh yes, we did that today.
Yes, we did.
every day.
Every day. We do it every day. That's
We're
right.
gonna start by summarizing and office purpose.
One thing I'm
every
also
day.
having my kids doing, I'm trying to have them do some reader response questions related to the text that they have just read. I have a copy in my room that I can give you later, but so that way they're making deeper connections, so that way once it comes to the STAR
Is it on
test.
Miss Brookins' wall?
No, it's actually a printout I found.
Well, I want to see it just because I love literary responses. Let's make sure that they are aligned with the standards that they'll be asked about. So
Okay.
that they're explaining, so if they're doing a literary response, they're putting into writing
Okay.
what's a question. For instance, let's say if you have a response that says, what did you notice about the way that the author organized information? Well, that's directly linked
Text
to the
structure.
text structure.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes, and actually that is one of those.
Okay, so, because Ms. Brookins has one that she got from me, a literary response that
We did that
directly
today too, right?
aligns
Text structure.
text structure.
We did, but
Yes.
but you know what? What I do is I take all pieces of journal. So I take what he knows about the structure of poetry versus the structure of fiction. Well, they both have short lines, but one is of the characters talking, and one is just a line. Well, what he knows about the structure of this expository text is long paragraphs. They're chunk. Oh, look, there's a subtitle that's probably not related. And I said, okay, look at the structure of expository text versus a fiction text. How can you tell? Well, this one uses illustrations. This one uses real photographs because it's a real text. Look at the structure, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, and they're starting to get, we did it today.
Right.
Yeah.
We did.
We did a lot today.
The cause and effect, keep practicing that.
That's what we
Because
did.
they will provide you either the cause or the effect, and they'll have to, now it is the explicit cause or the explicit effect, but it will be paraphrased on
As
the
why,
text.
right?
Okay.
Huh?
As a why question.
No, well, remember, there'll be two ways. Sometimes it'll just be in a sentence, the effect of blah, 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 blah was, and then, so that they have to locate A, B, C, D, the cause. Or they'll just have the cause and effect, and they'll provide you one. But what I'm saying, whichever one is blank,
Kind of
it won't,
like that.
yeah, but whichever one is blank, while for third grade it is explicit, it won't be copied exactly from the paragraph. It will be paraphrased,
Okay.
yes.
Cool.
So, but it's still
Okay.
not an inferred cause or effect, it's still right there.
Right there, yeah.
But it will be paraphrased, so they won't be able to go back and highlight it word for word. It'll be the paraphrased idea.
Okay.
And so I think they maybe need a little bit more practice with that, because maybe they're trying to guess on that because they can't quote unquote find it. They just need to understand that it's the paraphrased idea. So y'all find some together and maybe highlight the explicit words and then look at the paraphrase version. Say, see how this is the same thing. All they did was switch it up a little bit. But then on the one that it's stated in the sentence where it says it'll either be about the cause or the effect. The answers, the cause will be in the sentence, and then the A, B, C, D will be the effect. So they test it two ways. So just those are on the question stems, on the STAR question stems. Just practice those more. There'll be at least 2 questions on STAR over cause and effect always. So. And they usually do pretty good on it if they really learn it. And maybe do the little cause and what did I say? What cause? Because, and then.
This happened.
All right. So what else? What else are y'all planning? So 2 weeks informational.
Yes.
So that's what you'll. When y'all get these, maybe Thursday, Friday.
I
That's
like
what.
to do 2 weeks informational, 1 week literary nonfiction because, and I agree. Not agree, but I'll admit last year I feel like this was my weakness because I don't think I understood the difference, but now I get it full throttle. So it's making sure the kids understand the difference between literary nonfiction, spy story, you know, about something or some animal. literary nonfiction, you're learning about the life of something or a person that did something great, or you know what I mean. So that's why I said I've been teaching it over our genre reviews
Right.
every single day, but now I want to hit it for another week
Right.
so they can actually see, ooh, look, what was something great that person did? Where did you find? Okay, well, how did that person start off? Was that a good thing or a bad thing that person had overcome? You know, and just
Yeah, what
review.
he learned, his
Yeah.
theme is in, you know, a lot of things that's why it's literary, because
Mhm.
it has a lot of the same elements that poetry and fiction have.
Have.
Yeah, you don't have a problem
And theme,
Mhm.
obstacle to overcome,
Mhm.
AKA problem,
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah,
you know.
exactly.
So, just, and
Because they want to call it expository nonfiction, but then when they see literary nonfiction, they don't understand. Well, there's a story about somebody, or and I told them it could be about animals too. Do you remember Jessica the hippo? She got washed down the river, and
well, is that in your gap? Your genre is either fiction, poetry, biography, or
I say no.
Or,
I say
literary
they're
nonfiction
fiction or expository, and they have to be
expository.
explicit with
Right.
it too. Yeah, but I'm noticing. See, I used to let them slide because I was trying to hit, baby, just get the concept. You know,
Okay.
this is real, and you know.
Mhm.
But now we're past that. They've mastered that. Now we need to move it back
Right.
up to the next level. Okay, let's talk about the difference and make sure we all understand.
Right.
You know, so.
Because this is about a subject, so I'm looking for what problem the subject had, you know.
This is gonna be about a who, you know, versus
Yes.
our story is gonna be more about a what.
Mhm.
So that's another thing that, well, anyway, I've been
Okay.
mentioning that, but we've been on expository because I know that's something that for sure is going to be on Star.
Okay, so, do
I'm
you want me
going
just
to
to, do it so
poetry.
to just do just send you all of the Scantrons for all of them and just have you do it? Okay, I'm pretty sure we're probably gonna be asked one more time for a plan, so if we could, let's just kind of like put 2 weeks on the calendar,
Okay.
but,
We all agreeing that we need to just do expository?
Expository, definitely.
but she
How about
needs to go
poetry?
back over
I
poetry.
do need to hit on
She
See,
needs
we
to go
hit that, remember we hit that?
Yeah, we've already
We
hit
hit
poetry.
real good.
Well, in this book though, you'll get it all.
Okay.
Okay.
But this lesson, this
Throw
has
some
what?
poetry back in there every now and then.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
if they
I
can
don't-
really get
I think
poetry,
difficult for them.
They just have to,
Yeah.
well, no, it's the thing, they have to understand that all the poem is just, the author is showing their thoughts or their feelings. And Ms. Wilkerson taught me this, it's really just the free verse, you're trying to get the main idea. If it's narrative, you're trying to understand what was the plot, what happened in the poem. And then from
Oh,
there,
there's a lot of
But it's a lot of
back in.
inferencing too.
No,
Because it's
really.
just a little bit of words and they're trying to say so much.
right, but if you
Yeah,
teach
so
them
that's why they get
sensory and figurative language, and because that's where the inferencing part
Yeah,
comes
so
in.
well,
practicing with
it
figurative
really
language.
depends on the type of poem.
Right.
Because if
right.
it's a narrative poem, it's gonna be the same as like the emphasis you make about a story.
About a story, right.
But if it is a free verse poem, it is gonna be about the emotion, the feeling, what they're trying to
But it's
express.
the main idea they're trying to express,
Mhm.
that's exactly
Uh-huh.
it. Yep.
And then if it's lyrical, it could be a combination,
Yeah.
of it all. Yes. So it's a little bit tricky. The key is what y'all have already said, the determined importance and the connections among the ideas. So there are 15 lessons in here that the only one I say we probably don't have to do are the ones right here. The media literacy. No, you do media literacy, don't you?
This one is so hard.
Hmm.
I'm like looking at this book like yes, and I'm looking at this book like because that is hard. That was hard. It is tough for them.
And that's where we need to go.
Okay.
That's where we need to go. And you're going to let them do it.
That's right. That's right. I'm going to let them do the
You're
work.
gonna let them do
Remember?
the work. That's
Yeah.
heavy lifting. So you have
She's
your
trying to,
lesson here. You can use another short one, but then let them do the work. But do incorporate, say like this second story is about making support inferences, right? But it is I believe it's a fiction. Yes, the woman in the moon.
Okay.
So it's fiction. So can't you see them doing this, reading this for a first read, just making inferences. Then maybe a second read, just talking about character interactions, doing like a character interaction plot. Why are you looking like that?
Because the plot was never Okay, when you read things like, good question, Chowderhead. The plot is clear as day. She introduces the problem, and why she doesn't like the problem, she talks about the interaction with her daddy and da-da-da. The Woman on the Moon,
It's about inferences.
I know, but there is no true plot. It's just a folktale story.
It's told like a folktale.
I know, but it's just, when I'm thinking elements of plot, look, when I'm thinking elements of plot, that's not the type of text. It's just long and dry.
It's fiction.
It's just long and dry. And I just,
Okay, so then strategies you could give your students when they read it, are they changing their voice? Are they reading it like a folktale? Or are they reading it just like this in a monotone voice and it's just so boring?
I want to read it like that. That's how I feel. and I'm grown and I know how to use those skills.
And well, I'm so glad that you said that because on STAR we cannot control the text. And so we have to teach them to learn how
set
to
their own
read,
purpose,
to set their own purpose,
yes.
and to read text
Yes, you're right.
meaningfully, even when they're not interested in the topic. Because this isn't a test over my interest. This is reading comprehension content.
Yes,
And
very
about
good.
their
Yes,
kids'
she's right.
Because that's a true test. If all the stories were high interest, kids high interest, it would give a false negative.
And they would have a lot of background knowledge.
They would have a lot of background knowledge. It's
Thank
true
you, Ms.
comprehension.
Let me ask you, I have a question.
Yes.
So is it okay to, because the way that I'm kind of doing everything is in Spanish, to have different genres in a week?
Yeah. Do what you feel is necessary, what your kids need. I love the idea of spiraling.
Yeah, because I don't
because-
think it'll be boring for them to have expository for a whole week.
But this is the thing. This is
So I'm
what we
doing
did.
2 weeks of 2 or 3 genres.
You know we're going
Yeah,
to
I
the
like
zoo. So the last 2 days, our texts have been about animals.
Mhm.
Like yesterday, we talked about the different ways that different animals sleep. Today, we talked about wolves, and you know, all of our texts are about animals. And so
I didn't even intend that.
And then
I know, and it's been, but I made the connection because the kids were like, I still had a question about this animal, and I was like, well, you know what? Maybe we can figure that out when we go to the zoo. And I just started thinking about it. So now all of, especially for the remainder of this week, and I'm still trying to pull more text for next week too. But for next week, we're just gonna read about different animals because we're getting ready to go to the zoo. We go what, April 10th?
Yeah.
But I want to challenge you all too, to get way outside of the box. Pull topics and stuff that's new to the kids. I never forget one time the kids were tested, and because I was just the maniac, like we got the encyclopedia, and whatever page I turned to
I
about
thought we were
5
taking
times.
the benchmark on
We are taking the benchmark on the
April 10th.
On April 10th.
Now I said that I said
Wait, I
that.
thought that was the day of
It's on your calendar. It should be on your calendar.
I thought that was the day of the zoo.
Yeah, that is the day.
That's what I'm saying.
Who?
That's what I'm saying. I said
Okay, let's not get off track. but
April
we'll go on
10th
there.
is the benchmark, and we still, I think originally before our, we had
Who
some
said
changes
what?
and adjustments into our calendar, and that date was already set in stone. Remember, we had to turn the things in the first week of school. Was September 1st is when they was due, right? And so she don't know, but we
Is
had.
it Monday? I'm sorry, is it only
Monday,
Monday until the
Tuesday.
10th? So y'all have to take it on Monday.
I'm cool.
Oh, but that's benchmark. Oh, that's a star day.
So we're not.
We can't go.
They have to it's gonna be a shutdown.
Yeah.
Nobody, and I kept saying this.
And it's the day we take the reading, because the master reading
Yes,
Monday, right?
I said
yes.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, so
I
we'll talk
brought
about that.
this
We'll talk
up.
about that offline.
I'm not dealing.
I know, okay.
Yeah, it's on here, district assessment.
I told you.
Okay.
4th grade takes the writing.
So that needs, we can address that.
That needs to be clarified immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I
And
have
the
a
field
task
trip's on
for,
there.
I have a
The
task
field
for,
trip's on the calendar.
I have a task for you.
Oh, I reject. I'm not accepting
It
no
wasn't
more
a
tests.
question, Sally, it wasn't a question.
I'm getting
I have a task
voluntold.
for you. I want you to go, look at the first 5 lessons.
Okay.
Because the first one is ask and answer questions, 2 is inferencing, 3 is summarizing,
Mhm.
4 is, they go into, 4 is analyze how words and images and meaning, okay, and then 5 is vocabulary. I want you to put that on a calendar for me. You don't
So
have
you
to
want us
do,
to do the first 5, or do you want us to pick out 5 that
I want you to do the first 5, I want you to schedule the first 5.
Okay.
Remember how we started when we were in your room at our last PLC and we were mapping it out?
Mhm.
You don't have to do 1 per day, but at least 1 every other day, because they can read it more than once to do something different with it.
You want
Say
me
like
to
sea
include-
otters is summary, right? But I can see you doing main idea over it too, because it's informational.
So should I include the genre, and the skill, and the teeth
Yeah,
on the
you
calendar?
see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So sea otters at home is summarized.
I like that one. Now there are
I like
some
it.
good text
Yeah.
in there. It's just that
All of
woman
the
on
text
the
is
moon.
good.
I was like, this don't get this long, dry folk tale. I don't want to read it, Jesus. Okay.
And then just plan the first 5 out for us, and then I'm looking at seeing about maybe skipping over to
Now, this is us putting our GT hats on.
yes.
What if, even though, like, say for instance, we take a lesson out of it, and I'm pretty sure I'm probably about to repeat what you just said.
Okay.
What if we take whatever the lesson is,
Mhm.
and we teach 2 different skills, but the skill that's coming after, that be the preceding skill that we've already embedded, because we're not just gonna teach, answer questions. That's not the only thing I'm gonna teach when I teach it.
That's what I'm saying. So they can read it more than once.
One time, right?
Yeah. So if it's for summarizing.
Mhm.
If it's summarizing, you could teach main idea, details with it, then teach summarizing.
That's what I'm saying. And see, depending on the genre, that's what I said. I'm gonna do genre. I'm gonna do skills,
Mhm.
and then
Mhm.
okay.
And then
we can
what's
do the
not in
text.
there is author's purpose. So throw in that author's purpose, but do it with its statement, you know what I mean? The
Okay.
author wrote sea otters to blank me about the whatever about sea otters. So that they're getting the biggest bang, you know what I mean? So we can collect the student evidence of learning that they can actually do it beyond the ABCD. Like we gotta know that we know that they can do it. Whether it's a multiple choice or not.
Okay, and
Yeah.
have this calendar ready by next week.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So the calendar will include,
You need the book.
yes. This is the one we're gonna all get.
Is that
Now,
C?
what if
Is
I
that
just?
C?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, yes.
I have the teacher edition.
Okay. This woman on the moon. I mean, Mr. Big, even he was kind of, but he was better than the woman on the moon.
I
But-
want you not to discriminate against
Leave her alone.
Because Mr. Big was about the pumpkin. But anyway.
Okay, so now real quick, let's go to our SMART goal. I want, right here. This is a SMART goal for our spring benchmark. We have about 5 minutes. For our spring benchmark.
It's 110.
Okay, what is your goal for spring benchmark? Blank percent of my students will what?
As a whole 3rd grade.
Your
Oh.
class. I want everybody to do that. I want everybody to class.
Just know I'm coming for
What's
you,
your
Mama.
goal?
Just do your goal.
What's your goal?
Whatever.
And then I didn't bring our whole class, so the class was like, oh yeah? I was like, and I said, I didn't want to say that too soon, because we was kind of way behind y'all, and I didn't want to get y'all any more ammunition. But we've been coming for y'all. And we on the way.
So competitive. Okay,
I am.
write your personal goal. All right, then at least 4 action steps.
Okay.
What are you gonna do to tighten up those areas?
Now remember, the benchmark is all 5 passages. What are they using, the last year star?
Yes.
That's all 5 passages. So it's not like the 2 we've been getting, even though I think we
Right.
requested for more to be on
So
there.
I think we need
That's
to
like
address
5.
stamina,
Stamina, yeah.
Yeah.
for sure.
They don't give up to the
Right.
end.
I like her strategy about, making sure that they are chunking and not trying to go too fast, not trying to, hurry them.
What if we say like 60% of my kids will because masters would.
I don't know if they're gonna keep it set at 53.
Should we say
or
approaching?
not.
Should we say 60% of my kids will
No,
meet
No.
approaching?
well, we'll meet at 53% or whatever. Is it 53, right?
Yeah.
Yes, 53.
Oh, and
Or 56.
It's 53 on there.
53. So 60% will.
65%, I think,
65% will meet at 53%
percent or higher.
passing.
Mhm.
Okay, then write that,
Okay.
and then think about what your kids need and what you can do to meet those needs, to just shore up some things. Just 4 little action plans. And then think about the evidence of attaining the goals. That's what we were talking about today. Like this,
5%
we'll score 53% or higher. Yeah. You said 53% or higher. Put the or higher because that's what you said.
Or higher.
Mhm. On the spring benchmark. Okay?
By the best teacher.
I want,
Where are you gonna get me, Toby?
I want the
Well, you only have
action.
one skill. Wish I'd known that.
So think about, I want you to bullet your, you're not paying attention. The evidence of attaining the goal. How you gonna know
Oh.
that the goal has been attained before they take their test?
Oh, okay. I was like, it's the data, but you're right.
We shouldn't have any surprises, right?
No surprise.
Okay, so just think about what it is. This is for you, but this is your to-do. Cause the day of, the week of, remember how we sat around the table last year and I predicted when Ms. Turner,
Crap, we think April 10th.
What
What's
did
the
you
time
predict?
frame we got?
that we were gonna meet it? Remember, I was talking about 1%.
And she was turning, she was like, she didn't want to admit it.
She
but
didn't- It was right there.
yeah.
I was like 45, 46, it was 46. I thought, cause no surprises, we shouldn't have any surprises. Whenever my kids took the test, I could tell you. I
All right,
could
y'all.
read one or two
Okay,
kids
so
off.
that scratches out the plan.
What?
We need a new plan. We only got after this week. We only have 2 full weeks before they take that test on the 10th. So we ain't got time to be doing 2 whole weeks on expository. That's the action plan after the spring benchmark. We're gonna have to do. Okay, so the rest of this week we gonna dedicate the whole week to expository.
Now, what you can do is you can look at the test to see what genres are on there. Don't use them.
Yeah.
but just see what genres are on there. And just
I know
do that
poetry
genre.
was not, but I still
Yeah,
think they need to
poetry.
test. Can we request them to test us on that? I mean,
No.
like,
No.
To test us on
that's
what?
too
So
much
they're
work, huh?
Well, because they're gonna send the test. It's already gonna be made and printed. You know.
Aren't they making it now? Just say out of a concern moving forward. Last year was the only year that they did
Because
not.
we're one of 10
Of what?
elementary campuses.
Yeah, they need to test all the elementary kids on that. So they need to reconstruct the whole test
But
or
they won't.
add another.
But, well, because they would add more questions than what they would actually.
Then
would
they
have
could
to
take one of the text out.
But we want a good test. So it's a STAR test. So it give us a good one. But we know that you've been practicing at STAR. I mean, at poetry.
I went in rock star poetry lessons. And I won 69.
I know. So you're all in the literary. So the informational. So just think about your.
So then, okay, so moving forward, I guess we're gonna all do different things because we all got different people. I'm gonna talk to you.
Different needs.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
So
yes.
so what we're gonna do, we're gonna finish out this week on expository,
Right,
then
and
we're
I
gonna
have
do
those 4 tests.
So you
Yeah,
have
we're gonna
enough
finish with expository,
resources?
then we're
I
gonna
can
do
give you the.
3 full
you want the
days
counter
literary
code?
nonfiction.
Okay. I'm
Actually,
sorry.
no. We got good timing. This is good. The whole week expository, all next week literary nonfiction.
Okay.
We can do literary nonfiction and expository, and then that week before we need to.
So between the counter
Yes.
code.
So
those
I
are things
have,
we
I
gotta
just
try.
tried the assessment.
Okay.
Okay.
I
Oh,
have
the
not
what?
had a
I have
chance.
the assessment.
I have not had a
Those
chance
are the
to
assessments.
talk.
Are these the assessments?
Yeah, you already have it?
Go for us. I started to, but somebody had to come in and make 1 copy. So
It's
I
okay.
had to stop.
We can figure that out.
But I'm going
Wish I
to
didn't
try to
look at
do
my
that
car
after.
too.
You already have the whole book? Ah, okay. Oh, no, you were thinking about the game book.
No, it's not a game book. Miss Juarez gave it to me.
Oh.
I think it's this one, but let me just double check.
Okay. Because it's one that, the one that had the games was like a skill. It was like,
Yeah.
it had the skills. You already have that one?
I think this one. Yeah,
You already have that one? Okay.
this one.
Okay. And we use the chemical too, whatever y'all have.
That's what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
We're gonna go.
So we're gonna-
I think I lost one.
So do you
Yeah,
want,
I have
are we gonna
written
scan trans with
chemical and
this?
I'm making copies for us.
Huh?
Scantrons with this or no?
If you want, because the answers are in the back. You just let me know,
Okay.
and then I'll make them. Cause,
Yeah, we can do Scantrons that way I can have the.
okay, have the data. Okay. All right.
We're gonna be fine. I think. we're
Yeah,
gonna be
I feel much better.
And I've learned so much from her. I told her earlier, I
That's
feel like
good.
she needs to be a college professor.
I want to look at your evidence,
Yeah.
y'all's evidence of attaining the goal. Because, well, no, I'm just saying after you finish it, because maybe we want to bring some, student work protocol back to,
Yeah, I'm really trying to think about what we need.
okay? And you'll get that calendar to me. Thanks, lady.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Go forth
They're
and
gonna help you with
conquer
the calendar.
with all of our wonderful data. We're moving up.
So wait, that means he's not gonna be here to tutor.
Who?
We
No,
We have
we're
Avid
here.
today. Don't we have Avid today after school?
Okay, there needs to be some clarity.
Are you
There
gonna
needs
do
to be
it?
some clarity. Like we can't.